The year was 1884 in the frontier town of Red Hollow. It was a hard place, set between ragged hills and endless plains where the wind never stopped blowing. Out here, life had no patience for the weak. Every day was a fight against dust, hunger, and the silence of the land. And in Red Hollow, weakness had a name. Her name was Clara. She was barely 20, a slip of a girl with dark hair she tied back neat each morning, and eyes that burned with something she never let slip into words. But she carried a limp in her right leg, small but noticeable, a hitch in her stride that slowed her down. Some said she'd been born with it, others swore she'd fallen from a horse as a child. No one knew the truth, but the people of Red Hollow didn't care. They saw only what they wanted, a girl marked as less. The ranch hands laughed when she tried to carry buckets to the barn. "Careful, she'll drown in the pail before she makes it 10 steps, one would snicker. The women in town whispered when she walked by, voices sharp as thorns. "Poor thing, can't even walk proper. Who'd ever want her?" Even children, bold in their cruelty, dragged their feet mockingly in the dirt when she passed, limping with exaggerated steps while their parents smirked. Clara never answered. She just kept walking, shawl pulled close, chin lifted. But each cruel word cut deep. She carried the pain inside where no one could see it, like a stone lodged in her chest. Her world was the ranch. 2,000 acres of wild grass and thin cattle, once proud but now failing. The owner, Mr. Harlan, had grown old and sick, his strength gone, his breath ragged. He sat on the porch most days, wrapped in a blanket, watching the land slip through his fingers. The men grumbled. Fences sagged, cattle wandered, debts piled high. Some of the ranch hands spoke openly about leaving. Others mocked Clara even harder, spitting in the dirt near her boots, daring her to answer. Then came the storm. It rolled in without warning, black clouds swallowing the sky, lightning tearing across the hills. Rain hammered down like stones, tearing the roof off the hay barn and driving the cattle into panic. The men cursed and argued, none quick to move. But Clara was already in the mud, hammer in hand, hair plastered to her face as she fought to drag the corral gate back into place. "Girl, get back! You'll break that crooked leg of yours!" someone shouted. But she didn't stop. Hour after hour she worked, her limp slowing her but never stopping her. By dawn, she was covered head to toe in mud, hands blistered and bleeding. The corral still stood. The cattle had been saved. The men didn't laugh that morning, not out loud at least. Days turned into weeks. The ranch struggled, but Clara refused to give in. She rose before the sun, her limp making every step ache, but she worked harder than men twice her size. She mended fences, she hauled water, she sewed torn saddles by lantern light when the rest of the ranch slept. And then came the wolves. It was a night so dark the stars seemed swallowed whole. The herd was restless, snorting and shifting, and then the howls came, long, hungry, echoing from the tree line. The ranch hands reached for rifles, but hesitated, muttering about waiting till dawn. Clara didn't wait. She limped to the fence line, rifle clutched tight, every step aching, and raised her sights into the dark. When the first wolf leapt for the corral, her shot cracked through the night. The animal fell, and the rest scattered, howls fading into silence. When she turned, the men were staring at her, not laughing now, not mocking, just silent, eyes wide, lanterns trembling in their hands. Little by little, things changed. When fences broke, she was the first in the field. When a horse bucked wild, she was the one who stepped in with steady hands. When cattle strayed into the hills, she tracked them back, dragging her limp across miles of rough ground until every head was returned. The ranch began to rise again, Not because the land was kinder, but because Clara was harder than any land. The same men who once jeered now followed her orders without a word. And when old Mr. Harlan finally passed, wrapped in his blanket on the porch, no one questioned who should take over. The deed bore his name, but the ranch bore hers. Clara stood before the men, her limp still plain, her face sunburnt, her hands scarred. But she didn't flinch. The ranch was hers now, not because it was given, but because she had fought for every acre, every hoof, every sunrise. The people of Red Hollow remembered the girl they had shamed, but they remembered something else too. They remembered the night she faced the storm alone, the night she stood against wolves when grown men hung back, the days when her limp slowed her but never stopped her. They had called her weak, they had called her broken, but she proved them all wrong. Weakness wasn't in her stride. Weakness was in their cruelty. And from that day forward, the ranch carried her name.